Okay, it's Monday the 7th of March 2022. Let's get this vapor barrier up. Ta-da! Can you even see that? I'm not sure. Any joins have all been taped up. Happy days. Obviously I had a couple of boards already cut, so I'll quickly put them on now and get the rest cut, and we'll get this closed in as quickly as possible. So probably about another 3 weeks. So cut this board ready to go here. I've got 5 cables to come through. Now I've drilled my hole. Sometimes you can get these through without having to take them apart, because I don't really want to undo all this wiring just to save time. So I'm going to attempt to do it. It might not work. I'm going to try. The answer is no, you can't do it. I've tried. This will eventually become a double socket temporarily, so I just drilled another hole and it all come through, but I did it off camera. Let's quickly whip my belt on and screw it to the wall. Right, let's carry on cutting some board, but it'll be another day because it's late. Right, it's a miserable Sunday, it's the 13th of March. I thought I'd use this opportunity to show you how to cut shapes out of plasterboard. So the next board I'm doing is this one here. You've got the purling going through, so you've got the angle going that way, you've got the angle going that way, and then you've got the little section of the purling going through. So it's a few cuts, and not everybody knows how to cut angles and how to do detailed work like that. So I thought I would run through how I do it, like how I work it out. Now obviously we're working at height as well, which doesn't make it easy. So yeah, I'm going to show you what I do. Now, the easiest thing to do is always put the board in the direction that you're working, so it's a literal transplant of your measurement. So you measure, you bring it down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure from the bottom right hand corner, because that's your right angle. Now you're always assuming that everything is plumb and level. If it's not, your measurements are always going to be slightly out, and that's always the case a lot of the time, but you've always got a bit of tolerance with plasterboard. It doesn't have to be millimetre perfect. As long as it's within a few mil, it's not a bad thing. And also having a gap is actually better because it creates a stronger bond. So yeah, so the first thing I do is measure from that bottom right hand corner up to the top. Okay, so we've got 1755. Now, the next thing to do is measure this right hand side. Obviously, because I've got lots of tools, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping my laser up, but the other way is obviously you get a straight edge and a level it up and then mark it, so then you can get your length. So I'll do that now. My laser level, I've had it for years. It's a DeWalt one. They're pretty much one of the best ones on the market for this application. Me and most of the boys, that's our go-tos in the industry. Obviously there are other ones and lots of people use other ones, but I've always used a DeWalt, nice, easy, basic, about 130 quid English. You can get cheap ones, they all work, so it's just a real quick way of chucking your measurement up there. One 635. Okay, that's the measurement on the right hand side and the left hand side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, make sure we're getting the right shot. So the next thing I'm going to do is measure the bottom of the purlin. So we'll measure that up, do a line across, and then we'll work out the sides to go up, so then that gives us that shape. Okay, so that's 175. And then whilst we're up here, we'll measure each side of the purling. Which is 36 centimetres and 48 centimetres. So we'll transfer that over to here. Okay, so I've marked 175, so it's basically from the bottom to the underside of the purlin. I've done 2 marks either side, and then what I'll do is I'll put a line across that, and then you want either side of the purlin, which is 36 and 48. Now all my measurements are exact, yeah, so I'm doing it exactly murder tight. So what I've just done is deduct a couple of mils, because obviously the purlin might be cut, or it might not be quite parallel, horizontal, level, whatever way you want to call it. Also, when you're doing it, like I fitted this and it's a brand new purlin, so it's very true because it's a glulam one and it's obviously level because I fitted it. But if it's slightly out, you want to make sure you check that and just draw basically the shape of the purlin ready to cut out. Now, we also know it is sitting upright, so I'll now do the lines going up. So now we've got the left hand side, the height of that side, we've got the right hand side, the height of that side, we've got where the purlin is going up, so the last 2 measurements are the one here going down to that angle and the one here going down to that angle. So that is literally just a case of going back up and measuring from that top point down. Now I'm going to show you something. When you put your tape measure at the top like this, sometimes it won't go right up. Now in this instance it's pretty close, but if your tape measure has got quite a wide end, it might end up being more like that where there's a gap, which is obviously, you know, it's a few mil which will chuck your measurement out. So when you offer your tape up, whatever the gap is up to the final last bit, just add. So in this case it's approximately 1.5 to 2 mil. So when I do my measurement from the top down, I'll add that couple of mil. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, we're at 1878, so I'm going to add on that couple of mil, so we're at 1880. Quickly do the other side. It's exactly the same. Right, okay. Now, to check that your angles and measurements are everything correct, this is something I've spoke to like with old school chippies and that about how to check. And pretty much, when your angles, the length of any angle, the length of it, it doesn't change. So what I'm getting at is the point from there to here, which is the length of your angle, is a set measurement. So measure it. So then when you transfer all of your measurements and line them all up and mark it, if that measurement isn't within a mil or two, it's wrong. Like what you've marked up is wrong, so you then need to adjust it. Now, there's ways and means of doing that, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm just going to do these measurements now. 380. Now, because I'm quite honest with the fact that I've got this calculator, I always write my numbers down a lot of the time, because obviously if I keep them in my brain, I switch them around. So it does pay to write them down. Now, first thing we're marking up is the purlin again, which was the measurement 1880. So that's there and there. So what I'm getting at now is the length of that angle should be 753 or thereabouts. And the reason I say or thereabouts is it's not an exact science, because obviously if our boards are just slightly out, things aren't slightly square, there'd be that little bit of tolerance. So what we're looking for is we're measuring from this left hand side up to that point. And I've got 756 and it should be 753, so that's what I mean, it's within a couple of mil, so it's 3 mil difference. So what we would do with that is we'd say to ourselves, is it worth adjusting? And I would say no. So we go with that, and then we'll check the other side, which is 380. It's 378. So same again, it's within that tolerance range. Another good way of doing it, I'll show you probably in another video when it ever comes up. But if this was just an angle without the purlin, you'd obviously measure up to the point. So say that's your point up there, you'd measure, and let's say that number was 753 again. We could just hold it, the 753 there, and pencil it in like that, like do an arch. And then you do the same on the other side, the same measurement, and then wherever they cross over, you know you've got your angle, because the two lengths can't be different. They are what they are. Right, I'm going to get that penciled in, cut it out, and then you'll see what I've been marking up will all make sense. Okay, so I don't know how clearly you can make that out, but there's the shape. So what I'll do now is I'll cut that section of the board off so it's reusable, and then we'll score there, fold them out and cut them out of the way. And then when we cut this little section out, what we do is we just cut the angle, just at a slight angle, so then it gives it a bit easier and maybe it won't foul. And also, if we then have to take a little bit more off, it just makes life easier rather than doing a straight cut. So I'll get that cut now. So now we're going to cut out where the purlin is. It's literally, rather than a straight cut like that, I'm basically cutting it at a slight angle. Okay, that's that done. And there is your shape. Now, what we do is we'll offer it up. It might fit first time, and then you look awesome. It's like, yeah, I planned that. But if it doesn't fit, it's not a big deal. It'll literally just be a case of it's just pinching. For example, that might be need a couple of mil off, or a little bit down the side here, or a little bit down the side there, or maybe a little bit along the bottom, or a little bit here, a little bit there. It really does depend, because you've got so many variables. Is that a proper right angle? Is that angle up there exact? Has it got a slight bow in it? Is the purlin, you know, concave, convex, either way? Is the purlin perfectly parallel with this bottom section? If it's slightly out, that won't allow it. So not too bad. If it doesn't fit, we'll offer that up in a minute. Oh, look who's it is, the menace herself. What do you want, Sky?
I want to climb up the ladder.
She wants to climb up the ladder. And what have I told you? No, it's dangerous. Okay, just as another tip, I'm doing this on my own. When I start to slide the board up, because it's got the insulation and the vapor barrier, it's inevitable that it'll want to come away, because that's gravity for you. So I've just got that bit of metal and it's just coming off to the side. So as I slide up, the board will go behind it, and then that will stop that worst case scenario of the board falling backwards and tipping me backwards and me all coming crashing to the ground. Which is why I say to this little girl, when Daddy's about to do it, stay away. No climbing up the ladder. Okay, so let's do it. Oh yeah. Sky. Back. I'm not joking. Right back. Sky, stand back.
But I just mean
No, I need you back because it's going to drop. Stand back. Go away.
don't tell me.
Ugh. Ugh. Right, I'll just explain what went wrong there. The bit of metal that I put up that side, it's clamped too tight, so I was struggling to get the board to slot behind it to go up. And also, it happens a lot, Sky was off to my left hand side and she was basically in what we call a danger zone. So if I know I'm not going to make it, we always sacrifice the board because it's not a lot of money. And I was struggling to get it up. Now, worst case, if it had fallen up my hand, there's a chance it will either go left or right. Well, to my left, that's where Sky was, and it was stressing me out a little bit, and obviously it wouldn't go in, so I just basically aborted it. So what I'm going to do is take that bit of metal down, readjust everything, reposition the ladders and do it a different way. I'm struggling with my left shoulder. It's got trapped nerve in it at the moment, and it's an old injury from previous as well. So this sort of thing is just not really a good idea to be doing on my own, but hey ho. I'm probably going to give it one attempt. I've just set up the ladder. I'm going to give it one attempt. I sort of think the board might be a little bit too big and heavy for me to do it on my own with the lack of scaffolding and my knackered shoulder, but I'll try it once and we'll see how we get on. Literally, even as I'm doing this, I'm saying you're an idiot. Okay. Right, I went up there, everything there was fitting. It was just this bit here was butted close, which was stopping the board coming across. So I literally take the 3 or 4 mil off there to nothing up there, and that should allow it to come over and slide up. Right, as you can see, it's all in, and I'm an idiot for doing it on my own. Okay, we are now ready for the next board. Very simple, this one. It's just a triangle at the top of the board. So measure up that side, you got your height. You measure the other side, you've got your height. You cut it, it replicates that. Very easy. And what I've done this time is I've put my adjustable props at the bottom of the board, so effectively, as long as everything works out, I lift it up, it sits on there, that takes the strain, and then I can screw it up. So I will put this in a suitable place and we can watch the magic. Right, I'll quickly get that infilled, and then we've just got that reveal to do, cut that back, and then we're ready to bead up. Sky, thank you for helping me earlier.
You're welcome. Because I live with...
You are busy delivering. Sky helped me put all the beads on. She helped me do all the stapling. That's that one, and that one, all done. So obviously the next thing to do now is plaster it. I'm picking up the plaster tomorrow, and then I've got to try and persuade Nick to help me plaster it, and in return I'm going to plaster his kitchen ceiling. When that will be, I don't know. Oh, bye for now.